Tonight on the Extra Point, WKU men's basketball team is back in the headlines, only this time it's not from what they've done on the court.
And while the men's team is in the headlines, the ladies are up there as well. Stay tuned to see what noise they're making.
And later, diamonds are a girl's best friend, so we're going to take it to the dirt with the baseball and softball tops. That's coming up on the Extra Point.
With all the action from around Warren County and your WKU Hilltoppers, this is the Extra Point.
You're watching the Extra Point for Thursday, March 24th. You know, Lexi, it's been a while since we have a show gone live.
2 weeks to be exact there, Karen, but I'll tell you what, we're happy to be back. I'm Lexi Ratterman, this is Karen Eisert, and we're going to start talking about who was at the top of the hill, but has now fallen to the bottom. Last Wednesday, WKU held a hearing for 3 prominent athletes on campus. The Thursday following the hearing, the university announced that 3 men's basketball players were permanently suspended from the program. The University Disciplinary Committee, which is under the Office of Judicial Affairs, conducted the hearing. According to the WKU website, the committee takes care of any cases that violate the Student Code of Conduct. The website also states that students are able to appeal the suspension. However, we haven't received a confirmation on whether or not any of the players have challenged the ruling. The press release that was issued by WKU Athletic Director Todd Stewart regarding the suspension included a quote stating, "Federal law prevents us from public discussion of any details related to student disciplinary cases," end quote.
Now, the first of the 3 suspended players is Frederick Edmond, a JUCO transfer from the College of Southern Idaho. Edmond played in 33 games this season for the Hilltoppers while also starting 27 outings. Edmond was the 3rd in scoring for WKU, tallying 12.8 points per game. While also shooting just over 52% from the floor, Edmond committed to the Hilltoppers out of high school, but opted to play for junior college before making a step to play for WKU. The next player for the freshman was the freshman Chris McNeil, who appeared in all 34 games for the Hilltoppers this season. McNeil averaged just over 5 points per game, as well as just shy of 4 assists. His season total of 134 assists is the most ever by a WKU freshman, and is tied for the 10th most in a season overall. He was the 2nd in Conference USA freshman and 6th overall to have 130 points, 130 rebounds, and 130 assists in his rookie season, joining the players such as Tyreek Evans and Derrick Rose. The 3rd and final freshman, Marlo Hunter from Memphis, Tennessee. Hunter played in 32 games for WKU. While only making 5 starts, he finished the season averaging over 4 points per game, while also shooting over 43 points from the field. Hunter averaged 12 points per game, and while his stats weren't huge, Coach Harper said during a press conference at the tournament that he was a team player and that he was the role on the team.
Correction, all of those players were actually indefinitely suspended. But following the suspension of these players, Coach Ray Harper released a statement on Thursday regarding his resignation. He stated, "Earlier today, I informed Todd Stewart that I was resigning as WKU head men's basketball coach. I feel this is in the best interest of the program, a program I care deeply about. It has been a true honor being a part of this historic program as both head coach and assistant coach. I want to thank my assistant coaches, our support staff, and certainly our players for their efforts, dedication, and sacrifices on behalf of me and our program. I also want to thank Gary Ransdell, Todd Stewart, and our administrative staff for their support and dedication. WKU Athletics has an outstanding group of people, and there's no better place to work. Finally, I want to thank the Bowling Green community and the Hilltopper Nation for the tremendous support they have provided my wife Shannon and I. We were proud to call WKU home, and I wish everyone all the best," end quote. It'll be a much different look for the basketball team next year without Ray Harper at the helm. Coach Harper just completed his 4th full season on the Hill after taking over in 2011 as the interim head coach after Ken McDonald. In his time on the Hill, Harper amassed an 89-64 record, 2 Sun Belt Conference championships, and 2 NCAA tournament appearances. During his 17 seasons as a coach, Harper has led 14 of his 16 full season squads to 20-game win seasons, 3 of those coming during his time at WKU. And we have reporter Paige Hagan over at Diddle Arena, and she's going to give us some more information on all of the situation that's going on.
Thanks, ladies. Live here in EA Diddle Arena, I'm Paige Hagan. WKU President Gary Ransdell and Athletic Director Todd Stewart are in a major time crunch following the shocking news that broke last week.
A dark cloud seems to hang over one of the Hill's most storied programs, a program that boasts the NCAA's 9th best all-time winning percentage.
Basketball has fallen back, and it's not because we don't have the players. We have the players, we have the team, we have the talent. But I think we need a good leader to get us back to where it needs to be.
WKU finished this season 18-16 overall and went 8-10 in conference play. It was head coach Ray Harper's first season in which he failed to reach 20 wins.
The thing I'm most proud of with this particular team is you could never break them. You could never tear them apart. And we had plenty of opportunities. And things were tough. I mean, we lost some heartbreakers, but we just kept coming back and fighting and getting better.
Well, things got a lot tougher for the Hilltoppers when Coach Harper shocked the community last Thursday after announcing his resignation, the same time the university announced the suspension of 3 guards in Frederick Edmond, Chris McNeil, and Marlon Hunter, leaving the Hilltoppers almost entirely out of the backcourt and without a head coach.
Really, whoever we decide, it's going to have to change the program around, because I think right now we're really in a slump, and I think it's really important to get back the tradition of where WKU basketball was at.
With scholarships already available and the status of 3 suspended players in question, the next head coach has some major scouting to do.
We're so traditional, and we love to bring people in that have been at Western and they know the tradition. So looking at Curtis Townsend, I think maybe one of the best bets, and I think is the most exciting for people, for WKU alumni and everyone that's looking into it.
The list of potential candidates reveals some big names: Dennis Felton, Kenny Payne, Travis Ford, Darren Horn, and Scotty Davenport.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Davenport, that would be awesome, but I mean, he has not much D1 experience, but with the Bellarmine Knights and they got their first national championship, that would be awesome. We need a good leader to get us back to where it needs to be.
Ray Harper completed his 5th season here at the Hill, boasting a winning all-time career record with 89 wins and 64 losses. Now, as far as Ray Harper's wallet, he'll be banking in around $125,000 as his contract ends around June. Live in EA Diddle Arena, Paige Hagan for the Extra Point. Back to you, Karen.
Thanks, Paige. Now to give you a full timeline of the events. Last Thursday, the news broke of the 3-player suspension, followed by Ray Harper's resignation. Later Thursday night, WKU beat writer for the Bowling Green Daily News, Zach Greenwell, tweeted that he was able to confirm that suspension was not an NCAA or academic related. Through this week, WKU has begun the search for a new head coach, and BGDN's Greenwell tweeted out that WKU athletic director Todd Stewart said that the coaching search had begun, followed by a tweet a couple days ago from the WKU president Gary Ransdell saying that the coaching search won't take long.
And you know, Karen, it's been a girls' show so far, but we're happy to toss it over to Marcus Browning and Matthew Stewart to keep the conversation rolling about coaches.
Thanks, Lexi. And here with College Heights Herald, WKU beat writer Matthew Stewart. And we're going to talk about a few of those prospective coaches, all speculative, of course. All rumors. And we're going to go ahead and credit the Bowling Green Daily News, Zach Greenwell, and Brad Stevens for getting these names out on Twitter, as well as
Chad Bishop from WBKO here in Bowling Green. First
man up on the list is someone who Zach Greenwell tweeted a couple hours ago. Might be the front runner. And that's Rick Stansberry.
Rick Stansberry, he has quite an impressive resume, winning pedigree. We talk about 14 seasons at Mississippi State, 6 NCAA tournament appearances during that time, over 290 wins. He's currently on the bench at Texas A&M as an assistant coach. That team did go to the tournament this year, so you see success that goes along with his name. He might fit in well here at Western. And
he's a Kentucky native. He played college ball just at Campbellsville, a couple miles down the Bluegrass Parkway. But the fact that he's a Kentucky native could be crucial for WKU fans. Next up, Dennis Felton.
Someone we're also familiar with.
Someone we're also familiar with, current assistant coach at Tulsa. Do you think he would be a good fit?
I think he would be a good fit here in Bowling Green, but you have to remember he was our coach in the past. Early 2000s, he took our team back to back Sun Belt Conference championships. Took us to 3 NCAA tournament appearances in that time. All-American players, but do we want someone who left our program before and used it kind of as a stepping stone to go to an SEC school in Georgia?
Speaking of someone who left the program, is someone that we all know.
Darren Horn.
Darren Horn. A lot of WKU people know him. He went to South Carolina back in 2008 before Ken McDonald took over. Do you think that he's someone that could come back and maybe take over this program?
I do think he would be successful. He is a Kentucky native. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. He played high school basketball at Tates Creek High School. He played college basketball here at Western. He came into Western. You got to think about some players: Courtney Lee, A.J. Slaughter,
Recruited
Sergio
some good
Caruth.
players.
Some quality players during his time here at Western. But he also left, went to an SEC school, like you said, South Carolina. Now he's an assistant coach at Texas. Don't know if we want to bring someone back that's already been here. But if we did bring him back, I do think he'd make some noise.
Speaking of Texas, Big 12 basketball has been really clutch this year.
They've been making some noise in the tournament.
Making some noise.
Kansas.
Speaking of Kansas, Curtis Townsend. He's been an assistant coach at Kansas since 2004.
12 years on that bench.
12 years. And he's been able to bring in a lot of clutch players. And the fact that Big 12 basketball had such a great year this year, do you think that bringing someone who's had an illustrious career as an assistant coach, do you think that he would be a good fit as a head coach here at WKU?
Well, I think he'd be an easier transition as head coach from assistant coach than a lot of other people around the country. You know, when you said bringing in quality players, you think of Andrew Wiggins. He's already making an immediate impact in the NBA after coming from Kansas. Being on that bench, if you want to recruit for WKU, and if you say, hey, I was recruiting for Kansas, you see what kind of progress I've able to help these players get to from Kansas, and you take that at Western, that might bring some big time recruits here at Western.
Of course, and to be able to take a program like that, so therefore that's all we're going to have as far as prospective coaches go. That's
speculative, all
speculative,
rumors.
all rumors. Like we said, we want to go ahead and give attribution to Bowling Green Daily News, to Zach Greenwell and Brad Stevens.
Chad Bishop from WBKO.
That is our thoughts as far as the thoughts go. So, ladies, we're going to go ahead and kick it back to you.
Karen, we obviously love diamonds. So with that said, stay tuned and we'll head out to the diamond to catch some Hilltopper baseball action.
Right, Lexi, I love diamonds just as much as the next girl, but I'm still caught up on March Madness. After the break, we'll give you the update on the Lady Toppers. Don't change that dial. Welcome back. Now moving to the women's side of things, WKU didn't quite make it to the big dance, but they are starting to make a big statement in the Women's National Invitational Tournament. First round, the Lady Tops played Dayton and came out with a dub, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's first talk about the second round. On Monday, the ladies in red faced off against UT Martin. Starting off the first half, the Lady Tops nabbed the lead, but that wouldn't stay long once 5 threes were hit by the Lady Skyhawks. And even well into the second half, the ladies of UT Martin couldn't seem to miss a shot and even picked up a 12-point lead. However, the ladies didn't hang their heads. With a few shots towards the end from Kayla Smith and Jalen McClain, the Lady Tops were back in it and went to win 64 to 57. Now moving back to last Thursday, the Lady Tops faced off against Dayton for the first round matchup. The Lady Flyers kept things close for most of the game, even jumping out to a 4-point lead in the third quarter. But it was enough to stop a driven Lady Topper team. Redshirt junior Kendall Noble, with no surprise, was a standout for the game, scoring 27 points and even adding to the mix with 11 points from Kayla Smith and Dee Givens. They helped secure a WKU victory of 89 to 72. Now parting is such sweet sorrow. The Lady Toppers will leave the comfort of EA Diddle Arena and face off their next opponent, St. Louis. The Billikens finished the season as co-champions of the A10 with a record of 24-7, which guaranteed them an automatic bid to the WNIT. St. Louis knocked off Little Rock and Ball State to force the Friday night showdown with the Lady Toppers. WKU and St. Louis have only met one time, which was back in 1990-91 season, where the Lady Toppers beat the Billikens in Diddle. Now tip-off for the next game is set for Friday at 7 o'clock in St. Louis.
WKU has definitely embraced the thought of a WNIT championship and are starting to put together quite a run. With wins over the University of Dayton and UT Martin, the ladies are set to face their first road test in St. Louis on Friday. If WKU can pull out the win against the Billikens, they would face the winners South Dakota State and Northern Iowa before moving on to the semifinals, which would be played March 30th and 31st. Junior guard Kendall Noble continues to shine despite missing the big dance. The Lady Tops may have missed out on an automatic bid this season, but that isn't slowing down Kendall Noble's stellar 2016 campaign. After registering a triple-double earlier this season and in the CUSA tournament, while also picking up Defensive Player of the Year, Noble is looking to lead WKU to a WNIT title. Noble will certainly be secured in the record books before her stay on the Hill is complete, joining the likes of all-time greats Chastity Gooch and Alexis Govan with her consistent performances, game in and game out. Now, Karen, Kendall Noble's been blowing the show
Right,
away.
Lexi. She's won a few titles this season, but the two big ones, Conference USA Player of the Year for a redshirt junior. She also won a defensive player from the Women's National Coaches Basketball Association. So those two big titles. She also averages 18 points a game, so it's really no surprise why she's winning these things. But it's not just her. There's more to this team.
That's right. Coach Michelle Clark-Hurd has molded so many of these players into great players, and one of those happens to be Tasia Brown. She definitely hangs in there offensively with Kendall Noble, especially averaging 17.6 points per game, 72 assists on the season so far. She's started 31 out of the 32 games. She actually didn't play one game at all.
Right, Lexi, but I'm going to stop you there. This team overall, it's incredible to watch them come together. Now, I'd like to point out that 25% of their points come from forced turnovers. So it's not just an offensive team, it's a defensive team as well. So a pretty strong team.
Definitely
these
is.
Lady Toppers are.
Absolutely. Now, sticking with basketball, Karen, March Madness is in full swing with plenty of upsets and surprising performances, which could throw off the biggest basketball fans' bracket. Our reporter Tyler Flint brings you the math behind the madness.
A week ago today, you filled out your bracket and decided to place it in whatever pool you wanted. Let's be honest, your bracket's busted. But what happened? In the first round, Oregon and the other 1 seed stayed undefeated against 16 seed, each moving on to win in the round of 32, advancing to the Sweet 16. Maryland escaped the dreaded 5 seed and advanced past Hawaii in the second round. It seems Maryland and their star guard Melo Tremblay are catching fire at the right times. The only problem is they face the number 1 overall seed Kansas tonight. Now, if you picked Arkansas Little Rock over Purdue as your 5-12 upset, then congratulations. Only 13% of brackets picked that one. And only about 20% of people picked Yale over Baylor. Now here's where the brackets really got busted. Michigan State lost to 15 seed Middle Tennessee State. This is the 8th time in NCAA history that a 2 seed is lost in the first round. 14 seed SF Austin beat West Virginia, but lost a heartbreaker to Notre Dame with a tip-in at the last second.
So if I get emotional, I apologize.
Duke and 5 other teams out of the ACC reached the Sweet 16.
It's great to be in Anaheim and great to be in the Sweet 16.
This is the first time in NCAA history that a conference has had 6 teams represent them in the NCAA tournament. 8 of the 16 teams will play tonight, starting with Miami versus Villanova at 6, and then Oregon versus Duke at 9. I'm Tyler Flint with the Extra Point.
Now, my bracket busted the first round. I definitely can't wait to watch the rest of the tournament. Now, call your oral surgeon because after this week's jaw dropper, you're definitely going to consult with a specialist. That's later on the Extra Point.
Now, Lexi, you talked about diamonds. Now it's my turn. After the break, we'll bring you some Lady Topper softball, so stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. Now enough with basketball. It's spring, so let's talk baseball. The Hilltopper baseball team faced off last Tuesday against Austin Peay, but couldn't pull out a win and drop their first midweek game of the season. With the first hit coming off the WKU bench, it looked like it was going to be a good close game. But the Governors responded with 5 hits, and it didn't stop there, forcing the Hilltoppers to head to the dugout. The Govs out hit the top 16-9, and they came out with a victory of 16-2. The Hilltopper baseball team returned home last weekend empty-handed following an opening of conference play. The WKU finished 0-3 after being swept by Old Dominion, leaving the Tops winless in CUSA. The Hilltoppers jumped out quickly, gaining an early 5-1 advantage led by Danny Hadzina, first home run of the year, extending his streak to 24 games. But that wasn't enough as ODU countered with 4 runs of its own. Tying the game with 5 apiece, WKU took another 8-5 advantage in the 8th inning before the Monarchs responded with 7 runs to the game with the final score of 12-8. Despite falling short to the Governors on Tuesday, the Hilltoppers were looking to respond tonight against MTSU for the 3-game series. But due to bad weather, tonight's game has been switched to Sunday, so this is the first meeting between the Tops and the Blue Raiders for the season. And WKU looks to not repeat last year's series with MTSU. After the boys in blue swept the Tops 3-0 in Murfreesboro, the first game of the series is now set for tomorrow evening at 6.
On a different diamond, the Lady Toppers softball team welcomed in FIU for a weekend series to open up CUSA play. The ladies opened the weekend with a 10-2 win in 6 innings on Saturday and immediately followed that win up with another win in the second game of the doubleheader. This one was a lot more dramatic, however, as the Tops gave up a 2-run lead in the top of the 7th, only to steal the game with a walk-off hit in the bottom of the inning. Sunday was a different story. In drizzly conditions, the Panthers jumped out ahead early and trampled the bases, putting up 16 runs in 5 innings. Despite the Sunday loss, the Lady Tops took the series 2-1 to begin the conference schedule on the right foot. The Lady Tops continue conference play this weekend, hosting North Texas for a 3-game series at the WKU softball complex. The North Texas women are 1-5 in the conference so far and 16-11 overall. The Tops play their first game of the series Friday at 3 and end on Saturday at noon.
We're almost to the end, but we still have time for Going for Two. That's coming up.
And don't think we forgot to give you our hero on the hill. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. One Lady Topper on the Hoops team has continued to steal the show all season, that being Kendall Noble, of course. But for tonight's Hero on the Hill, we had to give the award to another Lady Topper, Tasia Brown. Brown is a sophomore and has put up stellar numbers all year, but after Monday night's 32-point performance for WKU in the WNIT second round, we had no choice but to give her the spotlight. So congrats, Tasia, you're the week's Hero on the Hill.
Now, we've had a lot of games this weekend go down, but one game really stood out. Let's head to St. Louis for the second round action of 7-seed Wisconsin versus 2-seed Xavier. Badgers with the ball on the sideline, 2 seconds left to play. Ethan Happ to Bronson Koenig, who puts it up, and it's good. Wisconsin bench goes wild. Now let's watch it again, guys. Dribbles down to the corner, fade away, 3. Time runs out on the clock, and we know what it is. Now, Bill Murray, what do you have to say? Not much. Now Wisconsin wins 66-63, and they advance to the Sweet 16 to face Notre Dame tomorrow.
Now, Karen, we can't go a full 30 minutes without talking about anything football, so let's switch gears over to the turf.
Right, so football season's here. Well, spring season, that of course. So spring practices started on Monday, actually. So let's see what the team's got for
The team's got a lot of people coming back, including a lot of quarterbacks coming back for the team. So WKU has quarterbacks like Nelson Fishback, along with Drew Eccles. They're both coming back. Now, Mike White, who's a junior, he was on the team last year, but this is his first eligible season. Tyler Ferguson, though.
Right, the transfer from Penn State and then to Louisville, now back to WKU. So this player has had a lot of things done. So let's see what he does for this WKU team. Now, Lexi, I also want to talk about coaches. So it's not just new players coming in, it's also coaches. We've got a legit Brom squad now, the full thing. We've got all 3 brothers, so we've got Greg, we've
and
got
a kid.
Jeff.
We got a son on the sidelines every game.
He's always there at every game. But Brian Brom hasn't had a head coach experience, but he will try it for the first time here on this WKU team.
And he's got plenty of football experience playing several teams coming out of Louisville like the rest of his brothers have.
Right, Lexi, I also want to note Tony Levine has had amazing coaching experience at Houston. It also led this team to a few bowl wins, a winning season, and was even nationally ranked, number 5 at that exact.
And much of the team's new coaches, they're actually keeping it within the state. Most of them have either come from Louisville or played at Louisville. So, they're definitely staying in the state.
And we'll keep it right here in the state.
Now, Karen, that's unfortunately all the time we have tonight for the Extra Point, but we thank you for watching, and as always, it's up and it's good.